Hello YouTube, my name is Elise and I'm coming at you guys with another video, and this time we're going to go over the top 10 things to think about when you're doing an OCONUS PCS in the military. This is not going to cover everything and it's not in any exact order, but if you are looking for a certain topic, please look at the chapters below. They're going to be chaptered out into each topic that I'll be talking about. It will be a long video, so some people may know stuff and some people may not know all the steps. This is also tailored to Army, but it can apply to other branches. And some things may not apply to you that may apply to others. First things first is EFMP, which is Exceptional Family Member Program. And so I'm not 100% sure that's what it stands for, but please look it up. It's EFMP when you look it up. So EFMP is what needs to be done, and it's a medical process, paperwork, that you put in for your family members. So when you first get your orders will not include your dependents. But in order for your orders to be amended to add your dependents, they will have to complete EFMP. And the process is that there's an online system now. Before it was a lot of paperwork, but now it's all online and you upload the paperwork to the portal. And then from there, it'll show you step by step and it'll give you different statuses of where your paperwork is. And then when you're clear, then you will be added to your service members' orders. The second thing to think about is booking your plane ticket. So you book it through the transportation office, and when you go there, you actually don't get to choose your flight. They choose the flight for you, and it's usually the lowest price one to the government. They book it from where you're currently stationed at. So for example, me and my husband, we kind of had a special situation when we were booking our flight because I lived in North Carolina and he was stationed in Virginia. They booked his closest to his current duty station, which was in Virginia. And then for me and my son, they booked us with the closest airport in North Carolina. So mine was booked out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and his was booked out of Richmond, Virginia. And so from there, our flights did not actually align, but he would have to pay extra in order to get onto our flight because they wouldn't allow him to just change. They wouldn't change it for him. So when he had to pay extra to get on our flight. But good thing for us is that we looked up and it was just an even exchange between Raleigh, North Carolina and Richmond. So he was able to change his flight to get to us, but he had to go through the airline to actually do that. So he wasn't able to do it through the transportation office. But yeah, so when you do it, just go through the transportation office and they'll be able to book you a flight for all of your family members. Number 3, which is pets. So a lot of people have pets and it is a process to get your pet over to OCONUS. Depending on where you're going, there's different rules that are aligned with it. So I would suggest you going to, like for Hawaii, for example, there's island pet movers. And so they kind of coordinate like getting your pet from wherever they are on the mainland over to the island. And that's probably the best way to do it, just to pay one of them to figure that out for you. If you try to do it on your own, it is a process because you do have to get certain shots for your pet. You have to make sure the immunizations is up to date. In the summer months, you can't fly your pet if it's too hot outside. So your flight could get canceled, and certain airlines have different rules regarding pets. So if you are moving your pets here, please look at all the guidelines to get your pets here because it is a lot and it is a lengthy process to get your pets here. Just keep it in mind that it is an expense. The military does not pay for it. I did see something that came out, a new policy about pet moves, and I would suggest you guys look that up because there might be a way to get something reimbursed, but when we were moving, that was not an option. Number 4 is home goods. So you have to think about setting up your home goods and how far in advance you want to move your things to get to the next location. For us, ours pretty much lined up really well. We had our home goods picked up in November, and that's because we weren't getting into the island until January. So by the time we got here, we actually only had about a couple of days without actually having our home goods on the island. What we were running into was more of a housing situation, finding a place to live after our home goods was already here. It is a process with home goods. They do come, the first thing they'll do is they'll call you and ask you, hey, what kind of items are you moving? Is there any like big or special items, they'll come and survey your items to see like what needs to be done. Like, for example, if you have an exercise bike, they'll come and take the screen off. So they'll come, they'll pack your stuff, and then after that, the movers will come the next day and they'll actually put your stuff on a truck and they'll crate it up, because if it is going over the ocean, they are going to have to crate it, and it does take a minute. You can feel like it's getting lost because you won't see a lot of progress on it, because doing OCONUS moves, it is a lot more movement to your stuff. And then when you get to the island, you will have to, they can, they'll deliver your stuff and they'll unpack it. But please make sure, I've seen some stuff, like a lot of people get their stuff broken, when doing OCONUS PCS. So just keep track of your stuff and what damages are on it, like note it. And like, hey, my stuff looked like this and now it looks like this when you shipped it to us. We actually didn't have any damage on ours. Ours was pretty smooth. Very minimum stuff that we had to worry about. Number 5 is moving your vehicle. So when you move your vehicle, the military will only pay for one move. For one vehicle to be moved. You can book that through PCS My POV, PCSMyPOV.com. It's kind of annoying because when you start looking into it, they don't actually tell you what website to go to. So we kind of had to just do our research to get there. But anyways, for us, we actually had a good situation. Just to give you guys some background, I am actually a civilian employee, so mine was able to be shipped too at no expense. But if I was to pay for my vehicle to be shipped, it is pretty costly. I think it was going to cost us around $3,000 to get it shipped. And there is a process when you drop it off at the vehicle port of how clean your vehicle has to be. There's certain ports, they're not everywhere, and you have to drive your car to the port. And you have to have, I think it was 1/4 of gas in your tank. And that is a huge thing, and they're very strict on that. One rule is the 1/4. And it's just some shipping laws or rules that, they can't put your vehicle on there unless it's 1/4 of gas in the tank. So we had to do a lot of driving around. Actually, the first day we got there, we couldn't even leave our vehicle. Had to come back a second day to actually do it. It's actually really hard to get down to that amount, especially when you forget and you fill up your car and then now you're like trying to drive around to get down to 1/4. It's very hard to get to. But when you get there, it's a pretty easy process. You just make sure that you have no recalls on your vehicle. Your vehicle is operating, and they'll take a survey of your vehicle, like, hey, this is what it looked like. And, and it takes, and you want to ship your vehicles well in advance, to make sure that you get them when you're actually on the island. We actually was pretty lucky with ours. Ours got to us pretty fast. We only had to do a couple of days of rental car, which was great. Number 6, TLE. So that is the expense that you get when you're leaving from your losing duty station. So you can stay in a hotel for X amount of days. I believe for OCONUS, it's 7 days that you can get reimbursed of staying in a hotel. And what that means is, for example, for us, we were leaving out of North Carolina. And so we could stay at a hotel for 7 days in between our flight, us moving out of our house and the flight. So, and the military will cover it. And that is included with the lodging expense. And you also get per diem during that time for those days. And so we were able to choose a hotel. And then from there, you have to keep your receipts, and you turn in your receipts when you get to your gaming station. It's based on your dependents, and also based on it's based on your number of dependents. So don't believe it's based on rank. Once you get to your duty station, to the gaining duty station, then you'll get TLA, which is a temporary living allowance. And so what that includes is your lodging and per diem. So lodging is whatever hotel that you're staying at. Now, when you get to Hawaii, there is a list of approved hotels, and those are the only ones you can stay at. You can stay at somebody's house or Airbnb, but you will only get per diem. You will not get lodging expenses reimbursed. So you will get, for example, food and things like that would be paid for. But for the actual expense of you living there, it's not going to be paid for. So just keep that in mind when you are booking Airbnbs or or staying with family members, you're not going to get that full allowance. You do have to show your receipts. For us, we stayed at the Residence Inn, and we had to prove that there was you don't get the whole TLA for lodging expense if you have a oven in your hotel room. So you have to get a no oven memo from the hotel, and then you turn that into finance, and then you can get the full amount of TLA lodging expense. So per lodging is just going to cover the cost of the hotel, and then per diem covers food, but there's also other things that it will cover, which is like laundry, parking fees, like all that stuff you can think of as per diem. And when you think of it that way, it kind of changes your mindset around it, because you think about you're not spending that much money on food every day for your family. If you signed up to be for to get housing on base, once you move into housing, your TLA stops. So even if you don't have your home goods and things like that, your TLA will stop, because what they feel is that once you move into housing, you can rent furniture on base. So they have an option where you can get rental furniture and put that into your house. So that's why your TLA will stop once you move on base. But if you are moving off base, let's just say if you move to a house off base, but you still don't have your home goods. It's all based on your home goods. If you still don't have your home goods and you move off base, then you'll still keep getting TLA, but you'll only be getting the per diem portion of it. You will not be getting the lodging portion of it. So while you're getting TLA, you'll also be getting BAH as well. So you will have some money there to kind of offset any extra expenses that you're having. But keep in mind, BAH takes a while for it to adjust to the actual new duty location. So I could imagine moving from somewhere like maybe like Missouri, where BAH is like $900, versus to moving here where BAH is like $3,800, for depending on your rank. So it is, you do have to keep that in mind when you're moving. You have to think about, if you're not going to move on base, you have to think about deposits and things like that, like at the new duty station. So please make sure that you save up when you're doing your OCONUS PCS, because it can be expensive when you first get here, but it'll all balance out in the end. But when you first get here, it can be very expensive, especially if you're thinking about deposits and paying first month's rent somewhere, because BAH pretty much matches up to rent, especially in Hawaii. Also, the TLA only lasts for about 60 days. And if you need to go past that because of waiting on housing, or you're waiting on, whatever you're waiting on, you have to get a special memo signed in order to get TLA extended past the 60 days. And that memo you'll have to keep renewing that like every 10 days. And you'll have to keep renewing it, saying that you're looking for houses and that you're proving that you're actually looking for housing. If you can't prove that, then they can stop your TLA. What am I on? 8? DLA. So if you are when you first move somewhere, you get dislocation allowance. And so this is an amount based on your rank and based on, I believe it's just with dependents or without dependents is what the amount is based on. So when you move, you'll get this extra money, and it's just for moving. It's to help you get furniture or whatever you may need. All right. So usually it happens after you move, but you can get it approved before you move. And then that can help you pay for things like moving your vehicle or moving your pet, or coming here and putting down a deposit on a place. Number 9 is, please make sure you are on top of your finance when you are turning in your receipts, making sure that everything is balanced out and adjusted. Do your own balance sheet of how much it should be that you should have coming in versus what you have coming in. Make sure that your DLA is correct. Sometimes that does get messed up. For us, we actually run into a lot of issues And some people are still going through issues even after being here for months. They're still trying to figure out their finances and if their paycheck is correct. So please make sure that you are really running the numbers. I know from us, like my husband didn't even catch it that our TLA was wrong, but I had done research and I knew that TLA was wrong. And so it turns out it was wrong because they were giving us an oven. So remember I was talking about TLA, if you have an oven in your room, then you don't get the full amount of lodging expenses. So he was getting a different amount, and I was like, hold on, we need a no oven memo because we didn't have an oven. And so then he turned that in and he was able to get that X amount needed. Number 10 is paying off your government travel card. So a lot of people get the money back on their check and they forget that money is actually owed to their card. And they think they're going to pocket it and they spend the money. They don't have it anymore once they need it. Everything has to be paid off on the government travel card once you get your paycheck. So once you get that paycheck, please pay off your card because you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't do that. And it could put you in a financial situation that you don't want to be in. And please be mindful where you guys are moving, because some places the cost of living is different than other places. And, you'll be going through some really big extremes. When you're looking at moving to places like Hawaii, I mean, for us, it was like we got like an extra $16,000, and it was like, you would think that that's extra money, right? No, it's not, because he also had a balance of about $16,000 on his government travel card because it's very expensive for them to get you over here. So everything that you're charging on there, which you can charge quite a bit on your government travel card, authorized expenses, which is, the biggest one is obviously going to be your plane ticket, but you're also charging hotel. So for us, our hotel was a lot because we stayed there for 30 or more days. And so it was a lot that we paid on hotel fees, but that was all on the government travel card. All of that needs to be paid back. PCS moves are not meant to help you pocket money, if that makes any sense. They're trying to just get you over here in the most comfortable way possible, but it's not meant for you to make money off of it. So keep that in mind when you're moving. It's not a money making opportunity. Honestly, it could be the exact opposite of that. So just make sure that you're planning everything that you're doing. But the military really just tries to even it out. So you get that money, pay it off. It brings me to the end of my video, you guys. I hope you learned a lot from OCONUS PCS. It is a lot of steps, and I know different services do it differently. So just to give you guys just a reminder, this is mainly from an Army experience, but I have heard it going across different services, but this is mainly just from an Army perspective. So if you're Army and you're moving, all these things will most likely apply. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I haven't made a video in like 2 years, so this is gonna be real random video that I'm coming out with. So yeah, so I've moved to Hawaii, and this is my experience with OCONUS PCS. Thank you for watching again, and have a good one.